Hi, this is Brian Kim. I will share with you case number 237, the best way to do cataract surgery series. And again, the purpose of this title is not to suggest this is the best way, but to get you to think about your best way to do surgery, which means thinking critically for technique and looking to refine and hone and make your technique better so that you can provide the very best for your patient. So this is a dense cataract called a cataract. You're going to see placement of trypan blue to illuminate the anterior capsule, and then performing mechanical fracturing techniques, leveraging mechanical fracturing techniques to reduce CDE, and hopefully also to achieve clearer corneas post-op day one, and to give the patient a nice wow factor after surgery. So I use a corneal marker, which will help me to center and size the rhexis, and use a cotton tip to control the eye as I do this. And then I make my paracentesis incision first on the right side and then the left side, making sure I'm parallel to the iris plane, which creates a nice corneal shelf, which will allow me to achieve a self-sealing incision. This is intracameral epinephrine, and this is intracameral air. You want to make sure you remove the aqueous first, and then fill the anterior chamber with the air. And this is trypan blue. I'm painting the anterior capsule surface with it, sweeping with the cannula side to side to maximize the staining with the dye. There was considerable collapsing of the chamber with that maneuver, which tells me there's some zonular laxity as well, which is, again, not surprising in this dense lens. I go in with the viscoelastic cannula, trying to evacuate the bubble as well as the dye. And this is the triplanar corneal incision. I make a vertical groove, place the blade into the deep part of the groove, tunnel through the cornea, using the cannula to control the eye, and then I enter. And these are the sharp tip micro forceps. I go in sideways, place the cannula in, really just to control the eye, and then if I feel like I'm having some collapsing, I can just push some more viscoelastic in. Puncture the center, pull down towards me, going around with the rhexis forceps, pulling the right side of the tear, going around circumferentially, grabbing and re-grabbing. You can tell there's some zonular laxity as I'm doing the rhexis. Okay, burp some viscoelastic out. All right. Put some viscoelastic on the corneal surface. Putting some BSS to make the viscoelastic more uniform. And this is the Capsulorhexis hydrodissection technique. I place a cannula under the rhexis edge contra-incisionally, decompress the bag, sweeping on the left side, sweeping on the right side, and the lens begins to spin. Oftentimes with these dense lenses, fairly easy to spin the lens because the density of the lens also seems to cause some disassociation of the lens from the bag. Lifting the incision with a chopper, and now I'm in the dense setting. Switching to sculpt mode, I'm sculpting the lens. And this is the terminal chop technique, okay? I'm going to sculpt a trough. You can see how dense the lens is. As I'm trying to sculpt, the lens is just kind of wobbling and moving. And that's because of poor counterforce, most likely due to the combination of the dense lens as well as some zonular laxity. So I'm placing the chopper contra-incisionally, and I'm going to basically use a chopper to hold the lens so I can do the sculpting. So again, if your zonulars are too weak and you're trying to push down on the lens during sculpting, and then the whole lens bag complex just kind of moves and it's not cutting efficiently, you can hook the contralateral lens with the chopper and begin to have more effective sculpting. So you see that, that's the technique. Placing that chopper around the contralateral lens to achieve a more effective sculpting of the lens. And whether it's stop and chop or this technique, terminal chop, you can utilize that same technique. So now that I'm done sculpting, I turn bevel down, I switch to quadrant mode, and because the chopper is already there, I leave it where it is, and I place the figure tip deep within the bag, within the trough, and I'm going to fracture the terminal side using mechanical fracturing forces. Pull the chopper towards the figure tip, fracture that terminal edge, and then separate. And as I separate, the lens should separate through and through. Because I'm fracturing from the terminal side, the propagation force should be able to fracture the lens all the way through, thereby preventing and bypassing the posterior plate phenomenon. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and rotate the lens 180 degrees and then placing the chopper around the lens. And then doing the same maneuver, I'm going to fracture the terminal side. You can see the capsule is actually elevated. You can see the stain of the capsule as I place the chopper out. The chopper is out at the lens equator. I'm able to position it around the lens. I have the figure tip deep within the trough, and I'm going to very easily, by flanking the lens, and I'm deep at the horizontal plane, fracture the lens at the terminal side, and now the lens has been completely separated. So there you go, complete separation. I place the chopper rotating and pronating my hand. You can see the chopper tip is leading, but I'm nice and flat. By being flat, I'm able to slide it under the rhexis edge, under the right heminucleus. The chopper is at the lens equator, and then I'm able to pull it centered toward the figure tip and fracture the right heminucleus in half. Using some vacuum to grab that first quadrant up, and then crushing the lens into smaller pieces using the instruments, and then emulsifying the lens pieces. In my mind, this is really the most efficient way to disassemble the very dense lens. So with these dense pieces, again, utilizing mechanical fracturing forces to crush the lens into smaller pieces and then emulsifying the lens pieces. Separating the second quadrant from the rest of the lens, placing the chopper around the lens, flanking the lens with another cross-chop maneuver, pulling it centrally toward the figure tip, and then fracturing it, and then separating those lens pieces apart. Grabbing that piece with some vacuum, again, crushing it with mechanical fracturing forces, and then emulsifying the lens pieces. Pretty dense pieces in this case, for sure. So you can see I like to just try to position the instruments around the lens. Sometimes I use a little bit of vacuum to help me to do that, but once the instruments are positioned around the lens, I just crush the lens with the instruments using mechanical forces. That's the last piece of that second quadrant. Again, pretty dense pieces. So again, I could go pedal to metal with these steps, but rather than going pedal to metal, I like to just pulse with ultrasonic energy and vacuum while I'm crushing the lens into smaller pieces with mechanical forces. Turning the second heminucleus in front of me, you can see the CDE is pretty high, but most of that occurred in the initial sculpting of the lens. Take the chopper out, turning irrigation off, and then pushing some more viscoelastic to coat the corneal endothelium. Placing the chopper back in, getting under the rhexis edge contra-incisionally, hooking the peripheral lens, pulling it centrally toward the phaco tip, and then fracturing the lens completely in half. Doing the same maneuver around the third quadrant, crushing the lens completely in half once again. Again, this is a cross-chop maneuver, placing the chopper around the lens and then keeping the phaco tip deep within the bag. By doing it this way, I'm able to flank the densest part of the lens, again, utilizing only mechanical fracturing forces. No vacuum or ultrasonic energy is used. I'm just keeping infusion pressure on to keep the eye nice and firm. And I'm purely just using mechanical fracturing forces, flanking the lens with the instruments and then crushing it. Keep crushing the lens into smaller pieces and then emulsifying the lens pieces. That's the last part of the third quadrant. Again, holding the piece with some vacuum and then just crushing it with the chopper over and over again here. This is the last quadrant, just positioning the lens in such a way that I can crush the lens between the instruments. When you're dealing with the last pieces, it's very important not to be too aggressive with the vacuum because the posterior capsule is exposed. So I like to crush the lens into smaller pieces, but you can see here, as long as I have lens material between the phaco tip and the posterior capsule, I feel more confident. I'm able to fracture the lens pieces and emulsify the lens pieces without much trouble. And I'm not worried about shielding the posterior capsule at this point because there's still a lot of lens material between the phaco tip and the posterior capsule. So as more and more pieces are being removed, however, just being very mindful, using just infusion pressure to keep the eye inflated and avoiding any vacuum or ultrasonic energy while I crush the lens into smaller pieces. But then once I'm done fracturing the pieces, placing that chopper deep in the bag, and then I go ahead and just emulsify the lens pieces. Get rid of those pieces. Again, trying to protect the posterior capsule with the chopper. Again, a pretty dense lens. Took a lot of effort, just very careful, methodical fracturing of the lens pieces. There's one last shard of dense lens material that was in the subincisional area, using the chopper to loosen it up, bringing it up in front of the phaco tip, and then emulsifying it. So that's it. That's all the endonuclear removal. As you can see, there's absolutely no epinuclear removal because this is such a dense lens. So I take the chopper out, push BSS in, take the phaco tip out, and I'll go in with the eye and handpiece. But you see here, there's a little piece of a nugget right underneath the incision. So as I took the chopper out, I replaced it with a cannula. And with the cannula, I was able to loosen that lens and remove it out of the subincisional area, and then switching back, shielding the posterior capsule as I ate that last piece. Going with the eye and handpiece, polishing under the rhexis edge. You can see it's a very fairly clean. There's not much epinucleus. There's not much cortex. Again, this is such a dense lens. Pretty typical in these situations. The polymer tip is very helpful and effective in cleaning off the capsular bag and removing any cortex as well as the lens epithelial cells. going to go ahead and pulse BSS into the subincisional capsule fornix. You can see there's some material that's actually stuck there. I'm able to eat it fairly easily there with the INA handpiece. Again, an added benefit of utilizing that technique. Disengaging infusion and then filling the capsular bag with cohesive viscoelastic. Sweeping under the rhexis edge with the sweeper, first on the left side and then the right side. This is the Li61AO lens, burping some viscoelastic from the main incision, creating a little bit of lubrication there, sliding in the injector, making sure I don't twist it. This is, again, a push style injector. I'm pushing and advancing the lens. The leading haptic goes into the bag, and then the optic abruptly opens into the bag. The trailing haptic didn't go into the bag, which is fine. I go ahead and just dial it into the bag with the INA handpiece. Get underneath the lens, removing all the viscoelastic from within the bag. There you go. I wanted to rotate the lens a little bit. It was really not trying, it really just, for whatever reason, it didn't want to move. So I used a Maltzman to rotate it. Now it's sitting perfectly. I really feel like the capsular bag is not perfectly round. And that's why sometimes with these 3-piece lenses, there's a little bit of difference in the way it centers depending on how you rotate it. And so I wanted to rotate it a little bit. And now it's centered perfectly. And then this is the end of the case. I hydrate my incisions. Now, again, this is a dense lens. I performed terminal chop, cross-chop mechanical fracturing techniques. Remember, this was such a dense lens. As I was sculpting, it wasn't effectively cutting the lens. So what are you going to do? You can't be just stuck and just don't do anything. Well, what I did was I placed a chopper around the lens equator contra-incisionally and essentially held the lens with the chopper. By holding the lens with the chopper, it provided that counterforce that the zonules couldn't afford me. And then I started to more effectively sculpt deeper and deeper, and then I performed the terminal chop. Again, mechanical fracturing techniques. You can see the CDE. It's rather high, but considering how dense this lens was, I felt I was perfectly in control of the entire case. I didn't have any trouble at all disassembling the lens. The cornea is nice and clear at the end of the case, and this patient's going to have excellent vision and most likely a tremendous wow experience when the patient comes in for their post-op day 1 visit. And so this is why I think this is one of the best ways for me to perform cataract surgery, in particular for the hypermature lens. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I thank you for your attention.